There is an interesting verse in the 23rd chapter of Luke, which interjects in the middle of the various interrogations that Jesus received just before his crucifixion. Pilate had sent Jesus to Herod, and Herod later sent Jesus back to Pilate. Then the passage says, "The same day Pilate and Herod were made friends together, for before they were at enmity between themselves." 3 different times in John's Gospel, he notes that Jesus caused division among the people because some supported him and some did not. However, what Luke noted was that Jesus also united people in ironic ways. Pilate and Herod did not get along, probably political opponents, but they were faced with a common enemy, and that enemy was Jesus. Their mutual hatred for Jesus was not only able to overcome their other differences, but it led to a strange friendship as they became partners in crime of the worst kind. In some of the dialogue, Pilate comes across as not hating Jesus. He actually defended Jesus. But Jesus refused to bow to Pilate's boast that he had the power to free him or to condemn him, and that seems to have been the last straw. Pilate was used to having people cower in fear when he waved his hand, and Jesus refused to do that. In some equally interesting ways, we Jesus Christians have been able, over the years, to unite many of our enemies through our commitment to the truth, as revealed in the teachings of Jesus. They hate our faith in Jesus, and they hate our lack of fear in the face of all their threats. I want to tell you about a situation that is happening in several different places at the moment, which certainly takes the cake when it comes to strange bedfellows. Many of you would already know about Sheila and Jared Johnson in California, who tried many years ago to kill one of our members, kicking him repeatedly in the head while he was unconscious on the ground. This member only survived when it became clear that the murder attempt was being filmed by a passerby in the early morning attack. Nevertheless, the victim was rushed to intensive care and finished up with permanent brain damage because of the assault. To this day, the family is unrepentant, and they continue to demand an apology from their son for having joined our community. But the point of this video is that Sheila Johnson is believed to have been in touch with other parents in their ongoing hatred for what we teach. Bear in mind that the Johnsons are black, African American black, and staunchly proud of it. But now it appears that they have been at least indirectly working with another family that is fighting our community through such bizarre things as a faked ransom note in order to get the FBI to pursue us internationally on suspicion of kidnapping. These other parents have boasted of their high standing in the Aryan Nations, a white supremacist terrorist organization in the American Northwest. The husband bragged to us in writing that he was personally decorated by Richard Butler, who organized the yearly World Congress of Klan members, Nazis, and other white supremacists in his compound in Idaho in the 1980s and the 1990s as head of the Aryan Nations. The Kellys sell neo-Nazi paraphernalia, which can be seen popping up in extreme right gatherings all over the US. So here you have two families which could hardly be more opposite, both opposing us and working together to do it. One proudly black, and the other so proudly white that they hate blacks everywhere. They do, however, have one thing in common, beside hating us. They both claim to be followers of Jesus Christ. Sheila preaches from time to time at her Pentecostal church in California, and the Kellys refer to Richard Butler as Pastor Butler. How is this possible? Like Pilate and Herod, their hatred for each other was overcome by their mutual hatred for the Jesus whom we teach. The real Jesus exposes the hatred and hypocrisy of their false Jesuses. One Jesus that justifies kicking a man to death for no good reason, and the other Jesus justifies hating and killing Jews, blacks, and anyone else who does not conform to their so-called historical Nazi beliefs. Well, their hatred for ourselves has forced them into bed together. Or should I say their hatred for Jesus and what he taught. It has, however, made them very strange bedfellows indeed. Nevertheless, Jesus said that in the last days, many, probably many millions, would claim to be following him when he has nothing to do with them and their evil deeds. Regular viewers would remember Rick Ross as the fellow involved in the kidnapping of Tara Johnson in Texas in 2020. At the end of this video is a link to another video explaining what Tara went through at the hands of her own family at that time. The family were being physically encouraged and overseen by Rick Ross, who came to their isolated ranch to carry out one of his forced deprogrammings. The video is chilling in revealing just how close the family came to causing the death of their own daughter at the behest of this one irresponsible cult buster. But obviously, Rick's modus operandi is spreading. The Kellys tell us that they have a neo-Nazi support base in every country where we exist, and that one member of the family has high military security clearances in the US, which can be used to make our lives miserable. Most of this is laughable, although we don't mind acknowledging that eventually someone will succeed in bringing us down. But I don't think it's time for that yet. For now, this video is our celebration of spiritual victory over all of this insane hatred. The Bible says to rejoice when we are persecuted. And so that is what we are doing, laughing in the faces of people who think they can win an argument with the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. I'll leave it there and encourage viewers to click on the link to the video about Tara's escape from the Texas ranch, where Rick Ross failed miserably in his attempts to forcibly brainwash her. Thank you for listening. God bless you.